Okay, so, because my research project is about editing, obviously, I did my report about editing, and when I was getting onto the practical work, I thought, the best thing I could do was play around with editing in terms of colour correction and audio, because that's the main thing I talked about in my essay. I talked about how editing's what gives movies, TV shows, just videos in general, the personality based off, the effects and the colouring correction, transition, stuff like that. So I was like, as that's what I talked about the most, that's what I'll do. So, in terms of footage, I wanted to have a bit of fun with it, so I really like Minecraft, so I was like, I'm gonna use Minecraft as footage and make it a horror film. Make it, horror-esque. So, yeah, because I wanted to have fun with it. So, this was, what happened with the original footage. What I did to give it more of a, horror personality, I guess, in a sense, is I dealt with the audio and the actual visuals of it. So, in terms of the audio, I added a studio reverb, which added, a slight echo. I wanted it to feel a bit more, eerie, and also because it was in a cave, I wanted it to sound more, cave-esque, because Minecraft is a bit limited. I also lowered the pitch slightly, again, to make it, sound a bit deeper, make it sound a bit more eerie. I played around with sound design as well, a slight bit. I added, creepy ambient sounds from Five Nights at Freddy's, as, the main backing track, as well as, just, generic spooky music that you can hear. I also added sound effects for when, the jump scares, in quotation marks, happen, just to kind of make them a bit more scary, I wanted it to be scary. In terms of the visuals, I played around with, the basic colour correction options. I wanted the footage to look a lot darker, because obviously a lot of horror and scary things are dark and gloomy, so I decreased stuff like the exposure, the highlights, the whites, the saturation, and I increased, the shadows and the contrast. I also added a vignette, which obviously made, the corners darker. I was playing around with, curves a bit, the colour curves, and I added a slight red tint to it. Obviously, red is associated with, danger and blood and death, so I thought that would be fitting. I also played around with the temperature a bit as well, and there's also blues in there, because blue is also quite a eerie, sad, depressing kind of colour. I also added visual noise, to kind of make it look a bit more grainy, not found footage-esque, but, grain gives it this slightly more, kind of distorted look, which, again, can make it a bit more eerie, and then I, finished it off with adding cinematic bars to make it look a bit more professional and cinematic. And, yeah, that's basically everything I did. I'll show, a side-by-side of, what it looks like. Not necessarily. I'll show a comparison of what it was like before and after, so you can get a proper, feel for what I did type of thing. But yeah, that is basically everything that I did to it.